Hi everyone, and welcome to this special episode of Roundtable Discussions in collaboration with the Montclarion. I'm your host, Haley Wells. In this episode, we will be discussing my review of Justice League, which you can find online at themontclarion.org. Joining me today are Glenn King and Dominique Evans, both from the Montclarion. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start off with how you felt about the movie. Did you like it? What were your first thoughts?
At first, I liked it a lot, but then as I thought more about it and, as a story and, as a movie overall, it's not really, good. But, I'll still watch it if it's, on TV one day and I have popcorn. I'm like, oh, I see it right there. I'll just check it out real quick.
Popcorn or not, I definitely won't probably be watching it again. For me, I feel like for this universe that we're in of, Batman and versus Superman and Wonder Woman, it's the best film thus far, but that's not saying a lot because most DC films have been flops.
Okay, I personally loved it, but that had a lot to do with Wonder Woman because I think she took on a very sort of centered role and she kind of got to lead the team almost. So how did you guys feel about her portrayal in the movie?
I thought Wonder Woman was very sexualized in this movie, and I think that's due to Joss Whedon coming in and directing it late, because you can tell in the Avengers, you can see Black Widow, there's a lot of gratuitous butt shots with her, and I feel the same way when I see Wonder Woman in this movie. I'm like, this is really weird, and it takes me out of the movie completely, and I don't like how they did that, because in her solo outing, she was a standout for being this independent woman to doing whatever she wants, and she wasn't sexualized at all. But with this, she's like, oh, I'm on screen, look at me. I'm like, I don't like that at all. I'm like, what are you doing with that?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that even though she was kind of very hesitant to take on a leadership role throughout the entire film, the way her dynamic with Batman throughout the entire thing was very this sexual tension, but he knows about her past and kind of going back and forth with that. And when she kind of took the lead finally, it didn't really feel strong.
Yeah, okay. And then they also, with her costume, do you think that was part of why she seemed so sexualized?
Yeah, that's part of it, probably.
Short.
Yeah, it's very short. I didn't really notice that in the Wonder Woman film, but in this, I definitely noticed how it was super short and she's just out there in a skirt, basically.
Well, I think that's the kind of complication when you have kind of a film with so many heroes that have their distinct costumes from their own individual films. It was clear that she was basically naked compared to someone like Superman who's completely clothed, and someone like the Flash who even has a mask on, and then even that kind of makes me think of Aquaman and how a lot of the time he was wearing a jacket but no shirt throughout the film.
But also in the Wonder Woman movie, she actually had other females with her, all the Amazonian women, all had sort of the same costume. So maybe it was just you weren't seeing other women, so it was very standouting because you only saw one woman and that was what they put her in.
Yeah.
But also, let's talk about Cyborg for a second because not really into the way he looked, and I thought it looked kind of ridiculous. But what are your thoughts?
He's a cartoon character, and I don't like that at all. Every time he was on screen, it took me out. I was like, this is a fake person. I don't believe this character to be real. I dislike Cyborg. Even though his story, he had, the only character development out of the whole Justice League, he was still very cartoonish, and I did not like that.
Yeah, I definitely felt like the CGI in this film really was not implemented gracefully, and it took you out of the film kind of from the get-go. As soon as you saw Cyborg, you were like, okay, and even other characters in scenes with him, the way it looked, you can tell they were kind of pasted in. It just didn't look natural at all, and it definitely took me out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the CGI was a little bit much. Definitely the part where in the beginning with the flashback scene of Superman, his whole face was edited and it was very strange.
That whole thing with the reshoots and taking out the mustache, that was the worst decision I've ever seen in a movie.
Absolutely.
It cost them $300 million to make this movie, and this is what we can come up with. You can feed a small country with that much money, and this is what we got.
So would you guys say that this movie was a success for DC, or would you say it was kind of like a flop?
This movie's a flop.
I feel like it was a success for them in the sense that they plagiarized like Marvel's Civil War very well, and they kind of have found a formula that works, but it's a stolen formula, so they kind of have that going for them. As far as a box office, like from a box office perspective, it's a flop because they made like 95 million?
94 million.
94 million.
94 million,
And
so.
their worst two films, Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. Batman v Superman came in at 166 million, I think, opening weekend, and Suicide Squad came in at 133,
Yeah, so.
which is ridiculous. But
Clearly no one was excited about this.
yeah, nobody cares about DC
So
anymore.
do you see DC being able to compete with Marvel at all with this storyline, or you just think?
Well, with the end credit scene, that was actually, in my opinion, the best part of the movie. When Deathstroke came in with Lex Luthor, I was like, oh, this is really cool, because I didn't expect that at all, even though they announced like 1,400,000 more films coming out in the next couple of years. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see like the Legion of Doom and like Batman take on Deathstroke. That'll be cool, but like honestly, Marvel, they've already won. They can't beat Marvel.
Which is a shame because DC has such good
Yeah,
characters.
I love DC. Like they've been my favorite superhero company since I was a kid, and I love Batman. But like these movies are terrible.
Yeah.
The way it translates on screen is definitely not smooth. It's simply
at all.
not smooth.
Why?
Well, a perfect example is like The Flash. I know he's a character coming off of a television show, but as someone who's never seen the show, he seemed he was very young, and I think him being young was something they kind of stole from Marvel with Spider-Man kind of being a younger character, because in a lot of the Justice League comic books, Flash is the same age as everyone else, until he kind of the Flash gets assumed by like young Flash, and they just kind of threw all of that to the window because they wanted this young comic relief because they saw it work before. So they were like, we're just going to do that and see what happens. And it just wasn't well done. It was obvious.
So did you not like Batman's sort of, I'm insecure about myself sort of storyline?
I hate this Batman with a burning passion, but there was one line in the movie that I really liked when he was like, save one, and Flash was like, one what? And then he was like, one person, and then Flash was like, oh, then what? And then Batman was like, then you'll know. I was like, that line alone was the most Batman thing I've seen in this whole DC cinematic universe, and I thought that was really good. I want to see more of that, but I probably won't because
Yeah.
they don't treat the character correctly.
Okay, well, that's all we have for this episode, so thank you both for coming. Watch more episodes of Roundtable Discussions. Please visit the Video Production Club YouTube page. See you next time.